My name is Lyndon Rourke. I'm 37 years old, a historical document conservator, and the youngest daughter in a family that measures worth in job titles, square footage, and dinner party guest lists. While my sister Tess was perfecting PR spin for politicians and CEOs, I was restoring centuries-old parchment in climate-controlled silence, work she called glorified glue sticking. I've always known I didn't fit, didn't sparkle the way she did, but I never thought that being the quiet one would make me disposable. Then one morning, I woke up to discover my house had been sold, my name, my signature, erased like a typo. And that was only the beginning. Because 3 months earlier, my sister nearly killed me. And this time, she made it look legal. The message from Bank Northland hit at 7:43 a.m. Mortgage closed. Property transfer complete. I blinked at the notification. My coffee burned my tongue. I checked again. Then again. Chestnut Avenue. My house. Mine. Or, apparently not anymore. I was still barefoot when I stepped into the hallway and opened my front door. Boston air hit my face like a slap, icy, sharp reel. A single envelope sat on the doormat, the seal torn, as if someone had hesitated before leaving it. Property sale confirmation. Internal authorization attached. Signed, Lyndon M. Rourke. I hadn't signed anything. I stumbled backward, heart slamming against ribs, and ran to the dining room cabinet, where I kept legal files, bank statements, my deed, my safe key. The safe was locked. The passcode I'd used for 5 years flashed error. 3 times. I opened my laptop. It wouldn't unlock. System reset initiated, blinked in soft gray. Who the hell reset my system? I grabbed my phone. Dialed Tess. Voicemail. Then again. Straight to voicemail. I called the bank. Yes, Ms. Rourke, the rep chirped. Your authorization came through last week via DocuSign. Is there an issue? I didn't sign anything. A pause. I have the form here, she said. It's notarized, and it matches your ID on file. No. That's impossible. I was in New Hampshire last week, archiving for the university. I hadn't even touched a laptop outside of catalog work. I paced. The air inside the house was too still, like someone had vacuumed it clean of sound. Something had been here. Someone. I ran out to knock on Ms. Levitt's door, my elderly neighbor, the nosiest eyes on the block. She opened with a wrinkled smile, bathrobe cinched at the waist. That man with the clipboard was back again last week. What man? Real estate type. Came with a young woman. Pretty. Sharp red coat. She looked like your sister. My mouth dried. I thought you were moving, Ms. Levitt added. Didn't you say something about needing more light for your paper stuff? I never said that. Oh. I left without another word. Back inside, I sat on the stairs, breath caught between shallow gulps. If someone wants to erase you, they don't shout. They whisper. I opened the drawer beside the entryway mirror. Inside was my passport, my birth certificate, but my power of attorney document? Gone. Twice in the last year, I'd trusted Tess with medical paperwork. Once, when I'd been hospitalized for anaphylaxis. Another time, after that procedure on my ribs. Both times, I'd been too weak to read the fine print. You never read the small stuff, Lynn, Tess once told me. That's how you get played. Maybe that's how she played me. The printer on my desk whirred to life. I hadn't touched it. A page rolled out slowly, as if dragged by something unseen. It was a scan. Form 14B. Voluntary transfer of real property under medical incapacity. Signed, Tess Rourke, acting agent. I grabbed the page. My hand shook. This wasn't just a theft. It was a betrayal planned like a campaign. Thought out, executed, precise. There was a quote I'd once read in the back of an old ledger from 1890. The most dangerous kind of liar is the one who believes their own version. Tess didn't just forge this. She believed I didn't deserve the house. Something snapped. I shoved everything into a bag. Papers, copies, my passport, the printer page, and bolted toward the car. Tires screeched as I pulled onto Tremont. I didn't know where I was going, just that I couldn't sit still while someone erased me in real time. My phone buzzed. A voicemail. From a number I didn't recognize. I pressed play. There was silence for a beat. Then a woman's voice. Tell her not to fight it. The paperwork's already done. Her house was just step one. My hands gripped the wheel. Her voice was low. Too familiar. Too calm. This isn't just fraud, I whispered. This is a setup. The hospital smelled like old bleach and something metallic. I kept my coat on. The receptionist gave me a once-over, then smiled like someone trained not to care. Can I help you? Yes, I said. I need records. From a visit. May 17th. Under Lyndon Rourke. Tap. Tap. Pause. She looked up. I'll need ID and a release. I handed her my passport. You'll find that I didn't sign any release. That's why I'm here. She glanced at the screen again. Her smile flickered. You were evaluated. Briefly. Evaluated? For what? I asked. Psych hold. 72-hour observation. But the attending discharged you early. No, I said flatly. That never happened. She shrugged, slid a clipboard toward me. If you want full records, fill this out. They'll send it by mail. Mail. Slow delay. Perfect tactic. I turned away. My pulse thudded in my ears. I needed answers now, not in 2 weeks. Security passed me without a second glance. I walked like I belonged there. 3rd floor. Patient records. Locked. I checked over my shoulder. Empty hallway. Flickering light. Buzzing. I reached into my bag, pulled out a paperclip, bent it just enough. Click. The door opened. Metal filing cabinets. Alphabetical tabs. Cold air kissed my skin. I found the file. Rourke, Lyndon M. Inside a single intake form. Signed. Signature didn't match mine. Diagnosis. Temporary psychotic episode triggered by trauma. Discharge date, May 18th. 1 day after the incident. The incident. 3 months ago. The night Tess hosted that reconciliation dinner at Harborside Club. I remembered the laughter. The candles. Her holding out a bowl. Mushroom bisque, she'd said. Handmade. I even double-checked the ingredients, I swear. I'd hesitated. Don't be dramatic, Lynn, she said with a wink. It's not like I'm trying to kill you. I believed her. 1 spoon. 2. Burned tongue. Then the itch started. My throat tightening like a fist. Clatter of chairs. Hands grabbing. A waiter shouting. Does she have an EpiPen? I didn't. Tess did. She hesitated. Someone help her, a man yelled. Then darkness. Now I was staring at a form that said I was delusional. This wasn't just gaslighting. This was medical forgery. I shoved the file into my bag, heart racing. A voice echoed from down the hall. Hey, you can't be in there. I bolted. Down the stairs. Out the back. Rain. Cold, stinging. Breath coming sharp. I jumped into my car. Locked the doors. Hands shaking on the wheel. She'd used the allergy attack. Weaponized it. Covered it with legalese and fake diagnoses. That wasn't negligence. It was orchestration. There's a saying, you don't kill the sheep. You isolate it. Then you convince the flock it wandered off. I turned on my phone. Pulled up the contact list. A number I hadn't used in years. Delilah Strauss. Investigative reporter. Once my closest friend. Now a stranger with a microphone. She answered on the 3rd ring. You sound like you're dying. I might be. Beat. Where are you? Outside, Brigham General. Someone's trying to erase me. Who? My sister. Another pause. Then, I'm listening. We met at a parking garage in South End. Level 3. Wind howled through the concrete ribs. I handed her the hospital form, the sale document, and the printout from my hacked printer. Her eyes moved fast. You know what this looks like? I know exactly what it looks like. You're sitting on a story that would make editors drool. I'm sitting on proof that my sister faked a medical crisis, stole my house, and maybe tried to kill me. Delilah looked up. You sure about that last part? I said nothing, because what I remembered most about that night wasn't the soup or the gasping. It was her face as I choked. Calm. Almost. Bored. Delilah exhaled. Let's follow the money. We tracked it back to the insurer, Highline Mutual. One claim filed under my name, May 20th. Emergency medical. Payout. $37,000. Deposited into a joint account. I never opened a joint account. But Tess had power of attorney for 3 days. Long enough. Delilah whistled. That's not petty. That's premeditated. I almost died, I said. You almost made her rich. The account number, the bank routing, all traceable, all real. But why stop there? Delilah murmured. You ever check the restaurant footage? I hadn't. She had a guy, Techie Nick, obsessive paranoid, the kind who keeps backup drives for his backup drives. Within 2 hours, we had the camera feed from Harborside. The angle wasn't perfect, but clear enough. Tess in red, whispering to the chef before the bisque was served. Then, this was key, handing something small to a waiter. Nick slowed it down, zoomed. A plastic ampoule. Liquid inside. He paused the frame. Delilah leaned forward. What the hell is that? I knew. Shellfish extract. Crushed. Clear. Odorless. Even a trace could kill me. She gave it to the staff. She smiled as I swallowed it. Delilah muttered, she didn't just poison you. She turned it into profit. The clip played again. Frame by frame. Tess. The red coat. The ampoule slipping from her hand to the waiter's palm. The slight nod. She knew, Delilah said under her breath. I didn't respond. My fists were clenched so tight, my nails bit into skin. The chef's face flickered on screen. Blank. Unknowing. Just a man doing his job. Serving poison. This wasn't a prank, I said. She meant it. Delilah didn't argue. I stared at the paused screen. The timestamp glared at me. May 17th, 7:06 p.m. Same night. Same table. Same spoon that hit my lips before I collapsed. People always say evil announces itself. It doesn't. It smiles. It laughs. It pours your wine and fixes your necklace. She didn't hesitate, I whispered. She timed it. We had proof. We had motive. We had paper trails. But still no one was knocking on her door. Because Tess had insurance. Not the kind you buy. The kind you marry. Jason O'Connell. Political advisor. PR strategist. Professional cleaner of sins. And Tessa's fiancé. Delilah rubbed her temples. You need a bigger move. Something public. Not press. She shook her head. Lawsuit. Pre-suit filing. Serve her publicly. Embarrass her. She won't care. She'll care when the wrong people start watching. Silence. Then she added, but you'll need a litigator who's not afraid of the press. I thought of one name. Nolan Greer. Old school, ruthless, and impossible to get unless you had a headline or a death wish. I had both. Cut scene. His office smelled like cigars and regret. He leaned back, glasses sliding down his nose. What you're saying is defamation. Fraud. Medical impersonation. Real estate theft. An attempted murder, I added. He didn't flinch. Prove intent, he said flatly. That's your Everest. I opened the folder. Signed psych forms. Audio message. Hospital release. Camera stills. transfer papers, financial logs, timeline overlays. Everest, I said, just got a rope. He stared at the papers, then nodded once. I'll prep the filing. You'll need to make a public appearance. I blinked. Where? AMC Boston, he said. Annual gala. She'll be there. With Jason. Big donors. Bigger egos. Perfect place to drop a bomb. Delilah leaned against the window. And we'll leak the first piece that morning. Just enough to rattle her. Cut scene. The ballroom glowed gold. Crystal. Velvet. Polished shoes, sharper smiles. My heels echoed on the marble. Every head turned. Tess stood near the back, laughing, champagne in hand. Jason beside her, tuck's sharp jaw tight. She saw me. The smile froze, cracked, died. I walked straight through the crowd, ignored murmurs, eyes, whispers. Someone said, "Isn't that the sister?" I reached her, handed over a manila envelope, labeled, "Public notice of intent to sue." For fraud, theft, medical impersonation, and more. Tess didn't open it. She didn't need to. Jason stepped forward. "What do you think you're doing?" "What you should have done months ago," I said. "Protecting what's mine." His jaw twitched. He reached into his coat, pulled out a phone. Probably already on damage control. Tess stared at me. "You're really going to destroy everything over a house?" "Not the house," I said. "The silence." There was a time I would have flinched at her glare. I didn't. I turned, walked away. Behind me, cameras clicked. Flash after flash. Let them. Cut scene. Outside, air bit cold against my face. I was shaking. Not from fear. From fury. "You did it," Delilah said. "She's exposed." "She's not done." She was quiet. "I need you to follow something for me," I said. "Randall Lake. The chef. I think he was paid off. Or worse. On it. I also need surveillance, pulled from May 18th. Hospital room, 307. Night shift." "Why?" I hesitated. "Because someone whispered something in my ear when I was unconscious." "You remember that?" I nodded. Not what they said, just how it felt. "Cold." "No," I looked at her. "Final." She didn't ask more. We got into the car. Windshield slick with mist. My breath fogged the glass. I glanced in the rearview mirror. A car. Black. No plates. I watched it. Still. Then taillights flicked on. It followed. I didn't blink. "They're watching," I said. Delilah's voice was calm. "Let them. You're not the prey anymore." "No," I said. "I'm the trap." We took the long way back. No highways. No digital tolls. I didn't trust anything trackable anymore. Delilah kept glancing in the side mirror. Still there. Black sedan. Tinted windows. Not even trying to be subtle. "They never are," I muttered. "That's the point. Fear works better when it's visible." Her grip on the wheel tightened. "You ever think she's not working alone?" I stared ahead. "I know she's not." We stopped at a 24-hour diner on Route 1. Vinyl booths. Smell of burnt toast and fryer oil. The kind of place no one asked questions. I slid into a booth, opened my laptop, and used a VPN to access the bank login I hadn't touched in weeks. My dad's trust account. One Tess had no access to. I needed to check something. The beneficiary switch. Last I checked, it listed me. Now, primary beneficiary, Tessa Rourke. Secondary, Jason O'Connell. The date of change? May 19th. 2 days after I was hospitalized. 1 day before the hospital signed my discharge under psychotic break. I laughed. Sharp. Bitter. It's like watching a play where you're the only one not reading the script. Delilah leaned forward. Someone helped them. Internally. At the hospital or the bank. I think it's both. We pulled up the hospital staff list. Dozens of names. Then one that caught my eye. Madeline Kerrigan. Billing. But also volunteer coordinator. The name rang too familiar. I scrolled back through my email inbox. There she was. Volunteer coordinator, Harborside fundraiser. Delilah's eyes widened. She planned the dinner. The one you collapsed at. Not just planned, I said. She picked the menu. We dug deeper. Madeline's social media showed her at a wedding. Tess and Jason's. In the background, holding the bouquet. This isn't sloppy, Delilah whispered. It's a network. I nodded slowly, and they're scrubbing the evidence while we breathe. Cut scene. Back in the car, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Local. I answered. Static. Then breathing. Then. Lyndon. They're watching. Don't go home. Click. I froze. Delilah saw my face. What? I replayed it on speaker. She slammed the brakes. That voice. Randall Lake. The chef. I nodded. He's scared. Which means he knows something that could bury her. Delilah veered off the road. We're finding him. Now. Cut scene. We tracked him to a service apartment in Revere. Dark window. Mail piling outside. I knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Silence. Then, rustling behind the door. I pressed my ear. Randall, it's Lyndon. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I know Tess used you. A beat. Then the lock clicked. He opened the door halfway. He looked like hell. Unshaven. Eyes sunken. Go away. I need the truth. She'll kill me. She already tried to kill me. He flinched. I stepped in. Door shut behind us. The place reeked of takeout and fear. Blinds taped shut. Lights dimmed. The man was living like prey. She paid you, I said. Not to poison me, just to add something. He didn't respond. She told you it was a vitamin booster. Or a health mix. Still nothing. She used your hands to almost kill me. Now she's using your silence. He finally looked at me. It was a vial. She said it was an oyster enhancer. Said you wouldn't notice. Said it was just to make you a little sick. Scare you. My stomach twisted. She said you'd overreact. That it'd look like drama. She said people would film it and it would be content. Delilah whispered, a social media play. He nodded. She said it'd show how fragile you were. That it would help with the petition. What petition? He hesitated. Petition to have you declared mentally unstable, he said. So she could be your legal guardian. I felt like the floor tilted. That was the endgame. Erase me from paper, from court, from my own story. She's been building this for years, I breathed. This wasn't spontaneous. She used me, he whispered. I didn't know until it was too late. Then help me stop her. He reached under the couch, pulled out a flash drive. She made me record the prep. For insurance, she said. I kept a copy. He handed it over. Delilah grabbed it. If this has audio, she said, we'll leak it in 24 hours. Suddenly, glass shattered. A window. I ducked. Randall screamed. Smoke grenade rolled into the room. Move! Delilah shouted. We grabbed the drive, covered our faces, kicked the door open, ran, coughing, smoke trailing. Outside, a black car peeled away, tires squealing. She's not covering her tracks, I said, choking. She's burning them. And this time she brought fire. Delilah popped the trunk, grabbed the drive, and handed it to me like it was made of nitroglycerin. We go straight to Nolan, she said. No pit stops. I nodded. My hands were still shaking from the smoke grenade. Not fear. Rage. The kind that lives deep, grows slow, and never dies. We drove in silence. Boston crawled by. Neon lights flickering on glass. I kept scanning the mirrors. No tail. Not yet. Nolan's office was dark on the outside, but the security light flicked on as we approached. He'd been expecting us. Cut scene. He plugged the drive into an air-gapped laptop. No internet. No risk. We watched. Video. Randall's prep station. The vial. Tess entering the kitchen. No gloves. No hesitation. Add it now, she whispered. What if she notices? She won't. She never does. She smiled. Cold. Surgical. Then she left the frame. Delilah exhaled. Intent. Recorded. Game over. Nolan's lips twitched. Not yet. We need the final nail. He tapped the table. She covered her tracks too well. We need to link this to the motive. The power grab. She filed for conservatorship, I said. Prove it, he said. Show. She started that process before the accident. That's premeditation. Delilah's phone buzzed. She stepped out. Returned a minute later, pale. That was Randall. Already. He tried to run. Someone got to him. He's gone. Dead. She shook her head. Alive. But disappeared. Like witness protection without the protection. Cut scene. We left Nolan with the footage and headed straight to the courthouse archives. Old school. Paper files. The kind that took hours to process. Clerk frowned. You'll need the exact case number. We don't have it. Then you're not getting in. Delilah leaned forward. Hypothetically, if someone filed a petition under a false signature, how long would it take for that to be flagged? The clerk smirked. If it's notarized and passed the first review, could slip through for weeks. That's what they were counting on. We searched under my name. Nothing. Then under Tessa's. Bingo. Filed May 20th. Conservatorship petition. Attached medical note. Signed Dr. Emily K. Byrne. Delilah stiffened. That's the psych doc who cleared you as unstable. No, it's not, I said. Emily Byrne died in April. Car crash. I attended the memorial. We both stared at the form. Forgery, Delilah said. Dead doctor. Fake signature. False diagnosis, I whispered. She built a ghost. And the court had no idea. Nolan's voice rang in my head. Show motive. Now we had it. Conservatorship gave Tess access. To my trust. To my medical. To my everything. Cut scene. We returned to Nolan's. He was already waiting. You're being watched, he said before we spoke. How do you know? He turned the screen. Pulled up security cam footage from the hallway. Jason. Earlier that morning. Inside Nolan's building. Talking to the receptionist. Smiling. Looking for you, Nolan said. Claimed he was delivering documents. I swallowed hard. He's not just damage control. He's logistics. Nolan tossed a folder onto the table. Leaked draft of a press memo. Scheduled for release next week. I opened it. Lyndon Rourke. Family mental health struggles go public. Family seeks private resolution. Sources say she's admitted herself to a psychiatric facility. My blood iced over. They're prepping to disappear you again, Delilah whispered. Nolan tapped the desk. You leak this footage, they'll bury you under PR, call it manipulation. Frame you as vengeful. Unstable. Then we don't leak it, I said. Delilah stared. We don't. No. We go nuclear. How? I looked at Nolan. You said we need something final. Something irreversible. I did. We sell the house. Delilah blinked. What? The house Tess thinks she owns. The one she transferred illegally. We sell it. Publicly. Through the same firm. Nolan caught on. Make it real. Hit her where it hurts. I nodded. If she wants to play God, let her watch her kingdom burn. Delilah smirked. And what do we do after? I stared at the window. Night pressing in. Then we bill her for it. Because no one forgets pain when it comes with a price tag. The ballroom shimmered like a lie. Gold chandeliers. Black marble floors. Hundreds of silent, expectant faces. The kind of crowd that had always applauded my sister's carefully curated image. Tonight, they would see what she'd buried, what she'd broken. I walked in slow. Every heel, click a countdown. Delilah was already inside, working the AV table. Nolan stood by the emergency exit, chin dipped, hands clasped in front of him, like a bodyguard waiting for the storm. I passed the auction table. Item 12, Rourke Estate, 1849 historical home, reserved at $1. The final nail. Tess saw me from across the room. Her smile faltered. She turned to Jason, whispered something. His jaw tightened. Too late. Delilah signaled. Lights dimmed. Screen lit up. The footage played. Tess's voice filled the ballroom. She won't. She never does. A collective breath was sucked out of the room. Jason stepped forward, but a man in a blazer intercepted him. AMC legal. Nolan's contact. No exits now. The screen cut to the forged conservatorship filing. Emily Burns' signature. Deceased 3 weeks before this document was submitted, Nolan said into the mic. A beat. Silence. Then murmurs. Ripples turning into waves. I took the podium. I nearly died, I said. Not from an allergy. From silence. From being underestimated. But I won't be quiet anymore. Tess took a step toward me. Lyndon, don't do this. I raised my hand. Every lie you told was a match. Every fake form, every gaslight, every joke at my expense. Tonight we all watched it burn. Applause. Cut scene. Outside. Sirens. 2 plainclothes officers approached. Tess Rourke once said, "You're under investigation for attempted fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit medical impersonation." Jason tried to speak. The officer cut him off. "You too. For obstruction and evidence tampering." Click. Cuffs. It wasn't triumph I felt. It was gravity. Heavy. Final. I turned to Delilah. Now the sale. Filed this morning. Public. Recorded. She can't undo it now. And the invoice. She pulled out a manila envelope. Printed, clean, cold. $37, 211.45. For damages, emotional trauma, hospital fees, and breach of familial trust. I smiled. A receipt for the betrayal. Cut scene. 3 weeks later, I stood in the empty hallway of what used to be my home. Echoes only. The walls didn't speak anymore. I didn't pack anything. Let the past rot. Sold signs flapped in the wind. I watched them take down the old mailbox. Started the car. Delilah was waiting down the street. You ready? More than ever. We drove past the courthouse. People still talked. But no one whispered about me anymore. There's a saying, you don't get to choose your family, but you damn well get to charge them for the damage. I used to think survival meant silence. Now I know. Survival means proof, voice, and sometimes a price tag.